Alright, so today we're going to be covering writing and naming binary compounds. Okay, so this is important because we're going to be naming all the different compounds that we can create. So let's go with review. You should have your periodic table in front of you. If you don't, you should pause the video and go get one. You're going to need the blue one and the one that you created, just so that you have it as a reference. Let's review what the charges that we've already covered already. Okay. In our first row, those are our alkaline metals, so that is all of these right here. Okay. What charge did I say those were? On your periodic table that you created, you should have said this has a +1 charge. All of them have a +1 charge. Okay. My second row, let me get the color right here. What charge did I tell you that those are? Remember, everything in the second column has a +2 charge, and we call those alkaline earth metals. Okay. Let's move on all the way to the other side, number 18. Number 18, this one right here. These are my noble gases, remember? And I said that anything that is on number 18 has a 0 charge, okay? 0 charge. They don't have any positive or negative charge. Going to number 17 on the periodic table, those are my -1 charges, okay? -1. 16, that's my -2. 15, that's my -3. And 14, I said could be plus or -4. In this case, I put -4, but it could be both. I also told you that group 13 is actually a positive. Even though it's on the side with the negatives, this is still a positive. Wait, where is it? Whatever. This is a +3 charge. Okay? So that's the charges that you have. You should have it on the periodic table that you made, and you should have all those charges down. Okay. So we're going to be talking about writing ionic formulas. When ions are combined together to form compounds, the overall charge of the compound that result must be 0 or neutral. Okay? So we're going to go into examples of what that actually means. There are steps, though, that we have to follow. The steps for metals plus nonmetals in ionic compounds. Step 1, you're going to write the metal first and the nonmetal second. Write the charge for each ion. Cross the charges to become subscripts on the opposite ion. Okay? So let's look at our first example. We have K. Remember, K is number 19 on the periodic table. Find it. That one's potassium. Since it's on my first row, that is a +1 charge. +1. Okay? Cl is number 35. Oh, I'm sorry, number 17 on the periodic table. Since it is number 17 on the periodic table, that actually has a -1 charge. Okay? So when it says cross your charges right here, it says cross the charges. So I'm going to take my +1 and I'm going to move it over here. And I'm going to take my -1 and move it over here. Okay? I'm going to ignore the positive and the negative. So just drop them. And I'm just going to keep the ones. So I'm going to have a K with a 1. But I don't, I'm going to put it K1 and I have a Cl1. There's the 1. Okay? So I have K1Cl1. When it's 1 and 1, the charges cancel, so you can just, the actual formula is KCl. And that's the answer right there. That's the formula. Putting potassium and chlorine together makes KCl. Now let's try MgCl. This one's a little bit different. Mg is in our second row. That's our alkaline earth metal. This has a +2 charge. Cl, we already said, has a -1 charge, so that's a -1. So what I'm going to do, cross my charges. So I'm going to cross the charges again. So I'm going to take the 2 and I'm going to put it with the Cl. I'm going to take the -1 and put it with an Mg. So my formula now, remember, I'm going to ignore the negative and the positive. My formula is going to be Mg1 Cl2. That's the formula. But whenever there's a 1, remember, we just did it before. Whenever there's a 1, we can ignore it. So the actual formula is MgCl2. Okay? And so there goes my formulas. Now let's do a couple more examples just so we can get it down. Okay? I want you to try pausing the video now, and I want you to try to do these 4. Try to do as many as you can without playing the video. So pause now. Okay, so you should have paused the video. So let's look at lithium and fluorine. On your paper, it does say there needs to be a cation and an anion. If we forgot, remember, cation is positive because it reminds you of a cat. And an anion is negative because it reminds you of an ant, which is bad. So let's go with the cation first. So that's a positive. Is lithium or fluorine positive? If you look on the periodic table, lithium would be the positive one, and fluorine would be my negative one. So my cation is lithium, and the symbol is Li. And this has a +1 charge. Then I have fluorine, which is my anion. So here's my anion, F-1. And now what am I going to do? Cross the charges. Put the +1 over here, -1 over here. So then I get Li1, F1. Okay? And remember, we ignore the 1s, so my actual formula is going to be LiF. Okay? That will be my formula for the first one. Let's do calcium sulfur. So I have calcium here, which is Ca, and I have sulfur. My cation is the positive one. If you checked, calcium should be positive. It should be +2 because it's in the second column of the periodic table. Sulfur, if you look on your periodic table, has a -2 charge. -2 charge. Okay. I'm going to cross my charges. This 2 goes here. This 2 goes over here. So we didn't really talk about this too much, but if you cross the charges, you should get Ca2S2. Okay? But that is not the correct formula. The correct formula, you have to simplify. If I have a 2 for calcium and I have a 2 for sulfur, I can cross them out. I can divide both of those 2's by 2. If I divide both of them by 2, my formula is going to be CaS. And if we look, my formula is CaS. Okay? So you want the simplest form. I had 2's there, so I had to divide each of them by 2 to get the formula. Okay. Next, I have cesium and oxygen. Cesium is Cs. Oxygen is O. If you look, Cs is number 55 on the periodic table. That has a +1 charge. Oxygen is number 16. Oh no, I'm sorry, number 8. Number 8, and it has a -2 charge. Let's cross my charges. So I'm going to get Cs with the 2, and O with the 1, but I don't need to write the 1, so there's my formula. If we look, that is correct, CS2O. Last one on this page, I have aluminum and oxygen. Aluminum is Al, and that has a, if you look, it's number 13 on the periodic table, that has a positive 3 charge. Oxygen, we've already done it. Just look at the problem number 3. Has a negative 2 charge. Let's cross the charges. So now I have Al with a 2, and my oxygen will have a 3. Now let's see if we got the right answer. Yes, we did. Okay? So make sure you're remembering to cross those charges. And if you can simplify it, just like in number 2, calcium and sulfur, please simplify it. Okay? So, naming binary ionic compounds. Now, steps for naming, you're going to write the name of the metal, and you're going to shorten the name of the nonmetal and add the suffix IDE. Now, we did talk about this a little bit, adding IDE to names. So this should be somewhat of a review when we're going into it. When we were talking about ions, remember I said it's chloride ions, fluoride ions, all those kind of things. So let's go with this. Our first example here, we have KCl. KCl. We need to write the name of the metal. Remember, metals are going to be on the left side of the periodic table, the left side. K is number 19, and that is an alkaline metal. Since that's an alkaline metal, I'm going to name it first. So I'm going to put potassium. Potassium. And now I have Cl. Now Cl is my nonmetal, which stands for chlorine, but I don't want chlorine. So the real name is chlorine, but I don't want chlorine, I want chloride. So I'm going to change the end and put chloride. And that's how you name KCl. Let's try the next one. I have NaCl. Na is a metal because it's on the left side of the periodic table. So let's write that one. So we have sodium. And I have Cl, which is chlorine, but I don't want chlorine. I want chloride. Okay? Next I have LiF. LiF is lithium. So let's write lithium. And then I have F, which is fluorine, but I don't want I-N-E. I want ide at the end, so it'll be fluoride. Okay. So on all of these, I'm just changing the endings so that way you can get the names down. Okay. All right, here go a few more examples. Pause the video and try to work as many as you can without pushing play. I'm going to move through these a little bit quicker so you can get onto your worksheet. So please pause the video. Okay, you should have paused the video. Here I have MgBr. I have magnesium, Mg. So I have Mg here, which is magnesium, and I have Br over here, which is bromine. Remember, you're going to change bromine to bromide, and it should look like this. Your name should look like that, magnesium bromide. NaF, remember Na stands for sodium, F fluorine, but I don't want fluorine, I want fluoride. So you should have had sodium sulfide, fluoride, I'm sorry, sodium fluoride. Al2O3, you have Al, which is aluminum, and O, which is oxygen. If you change the ending of oxygen, you will get aluminum oxide. CdO, Cd stands for cadmium. That's number 48 on the periodic table. Cadmium. So you change the ending of oxygen, you have cadmium oxide. Z and S. Again, you have zinc and sulfur. Change sulfur and it'll be zinc sulfide. Na2O, you have sodium, which is Na, this one right here. And you have oxygen, which is O. If you change it, you should get sodium oxide. Last, you have potassium, which is here, and nitrogen. You're going to change nitrogen to potassium nitride. Okay. We'll be moving on. Last part of our notes that we have, we're going to be writing the formula from the name. Okay? So this is a little bit different. So we're just switching it. Here I have sodium sulfide. So let's talk about it. We have sodium, which we know is Na. And that has a +1 charge because that is all the way to the left, number 11. And we have sulfide. Remember, sulfide. So this is sulfur, which is S. S has a -2 charge. Well, what are we going to do? We're going to cross those charges. Make sure you're remembering, cross the charges. The 1 will go here, the 2 will go over here. So my formula will be Na2S. I don't need to put the 1. Next, I have aluminum and chloride. Aluminum is Al. Al is number 13 on the periodic table. That has a +3 charge. Chlorine is Cl, or chloride, I'm sorry. And that has a -1 charge. Let's cross those charges. Okay, so I'm going to have Al with the 1. Remember, I don't need to put the 1. And Cl with the 3. And there's my formula. Last one, potassium, which is letter K. This has a +1 charge. Oxygen with a -2 charge. Let's cross those charges. And so I'm going to get K2O. And there we go. We went from name to formula. Please call me over when you finish this part.